Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Story Time with Coach Sheree Vejan. Pull up my notes here. So, one of my goals in 2025 is like prepare to be sick of me. One of my goals in 2025 is to go live every day, to show up every day on social media. It's actually one of the challenges from one of my accountability groups. And I was editing my book a couple months ago, and I fell asleep reading one of the pages, Anne's daughter. And I said, well, this will be good. And I thought about story time. And so I decided that I would do story time with Coach Sheree and read pages of the Ultimate Goals Handbook. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to pull up my. So it is story time with Coach Sheree Vejan. And so I don't know if you've ever written a book or if you've ever written a big speech, and you probably know what it's like reading it over and over and over again. And so literally that's what happened to me. I was reading it over and over and over again, fell asleep, and I was reading about how I got started on the journey of goal setting, and I thought to myself, this is good. And it reminded me of a bedtime story, not just any story, but the kind of stories that make you dream bigger, that believe in yourself. And so I decided we were going to read it together. So if you have your coffee, I actually have Gatorade tonight. So I've been making sure that I'm staying hydrated this year, making sure I'm drinking my water. So I'm going to read for 30 days for the month of January. I'm going to read pages from the Ultimate Goals Handbook. Can you see that? And I'm just going to read the dedication page. It's so simple. And you're probably like, what do you get from the dedication page? And I went back and forth with this dedication, whether I wanted to do it, whether I want to keep it in there. And so the Ultimate Goals Handbook is dedicated to the late Dr. Billy G. Ingram, lovingly known as PB. He was the founder and pastor of Maranatha Community Church in Los Angeles. Oh, you know what? One second. So he was pastor of Maranatha Community Church in Los Angeles for over 31 years. He was a constant source of encouragement, always welcoming me and my family, always making space for me to share my gifts. He was there for many of my firsts. He was there for my wedding. He gave me my first job at a church. He welcomed my debut sermon. I was on his pastoral team for a minute. He hosted the very first goal setting workshop at his church. He inspired my initial concert at the Baked Potato. So I don't know how many people are going to watch this and be like, oh, yeah, I remember that concert at the Baked Potato. He was the first guest on my podcast. So I did a podcast, I don't even know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I'm trying to remember the name of that podcast too. And it was awesome. And even when I listened to that podcast today, it was a really good podcast, how he went over what he did in a day and what his aspirations were, what some of his dreams were, and what he was known for and what he was trying to get into. And so, yeah, he was the first guest on my podcast. And in countless ways, he championed my journey, truly a generous giver of his gifts. And for all of this, I'm deeply grateful. So Pastor Billy was not just a mentor, he was a true friend. And then I put rest in peace to my friend. You are truly missed beyond measure. And so when you think about a dedication page of a book, what can you pull from a dedication of a book? And I started thinking about that. And I wanted to ask some questions, and you can put them in the chat if you're watching live, or if you want to send me a message. I know it was funny yesterday. I was online for 10 hours at 9 hours and 36 minutes. It was supposed to be 12 hours. But I was speaking fast, so now I'm trying to speak a little slower. I did what was supposed to be a 12-hour goal-a-thon, and I'm back again today. So you can leave in the chat or you can send me a message. Some people were texting me during the goal-a-thon. You can, if you know me like that, you can text me, but you can put here and I can read it later. So I have some questions. Who has been your biggest mentor or supporter in life, and what's the one thing you've learned from them? And so when you read dedication pages in the future, I hope that you will, let me put this question in the chat. Because a lot of times we read dedication pages, or a lot of times we read pages that are acknowledgement pages, and we're just thinking that that person is acknowledging somebody or that person is dedicating that page. But when you think about those pages, you can also think about who you want to acknowledge, who was your mentor, who was your supporter, who helped you with your products or your projects. And that's your key to maybe send a thank you card. So, who has been that person for you? There's another question. What's one thing you'd say to a mentor or supporter if they were here right now? You know, with me growing up without parents, with me growing up without a mom and a dad, I depended on mentors. I depended on people to speak into my life. I just depended on people to share their experiences with me that I would not have gotten from a regular environment. And so I appreciated, in my book previously, I talked about my manager, Cleo. I talked about my manager, Peggy. I talked about, because these were people who were who were showing leadership when I was working, at some of my first job. My first job was at McDonald's, and I got to see, I didn't know it at the time, working at McDonald's. I was thinking it was just a job, something to help support me, something to help me pay for my prom. I paid for my prom, I paid for my graduation, I paid for my anything I got for school, I paid for. And I looked at McDonald's as an opportunity to support me. But now, and hopefully Cleo, if he happens to stumble across this, now I got to see that African Americans were owners of those McDonald's and they were running it, and the leadership and the management and the organization was just awesome. Now that I know what that looks like on the back end. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate him, my managers that came before me. So pretty much I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to think about mentors, think about people who shaped you, think about people who poured into your life. And as we enter the beginning of a new year, don't forget to go back and thank those who brought you through 2024. Who helped you, who guided you, your accountability partners, your accountability groups, people who gave you that nudge to keep going. All right. So, not a lot tonight, and maybe you want to consider being a mentor as well. So maybe you want to be that voice that you needed to hear when you were younger. Maybe you want to pour into the youth. I do have, now that I think about it, I do have a worksheet. Let me take down this. Take down the... So I do have a worksheet. It's free. You can scan the QR code, honor our mentors. It's a... Did I print out a copy? But it's a really good exercise that you could do, and you can print it out. Let me see if I have it and go over it with you. I probably don't. Yeah, but it's a good little exercise having you recognize your mentors. You write a little small letter of gratitude, thanking them. And so that's what I want to offer you this week. Let's see what else I have in my notes. that's it. That's all I have in my notes. If you are, all right, guys. So thank you for watching. Tonight is honoring our mentors. And I was just reading the dedication page for those of you who are just now logging on. I was just reading the dedication page that was dedicated to one of my mentors. And so tonight is honoring our mentors and transforming through support. All right. So go ahead and download that worksheet. And if you have people with you, your family, you can, I always say, print out those worksheets, pass them out, and kind of do it as an activity, with your family, with your friends, with people that are close by. All right, you guys. All right, well, I don't see any questions. I don't see any comments. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be, it's story time with Coach Sheree. All right, have a good night.